Welcome to this video. I'm Dr. Ojo. I still have two scholars here, and today they will be talking about the next step after you get that PhD or master's admission. This is relevant for international students coming into the United States. Some domestic students as well might learn from this video, and also students going to other countries might learn one or two things as well. But this is mostly for international students coming into the United States. So what's one of the first things that happens after you get your PhD admission and funding offer? Or master's or bachelor's, whatever.
Yeah, the first thing that happened was I took a cup of palm wine. Yeah, because I actually scheduled the orders in two stages. The first stage, the second stage. So the first was to look for professors who would be interested to work with me. Second stage, securing the admission, then securing funding. So after achieving all those, I need to, take something and then say, okay, wow, okay, yeah, I've reached it.
Yeah,
so
you achieved
the
it.
next level now is the processing for the visa, and there are some documentation that are actually required.
Yeah.
Like getting the school to send in the I-20, which is very essential in completing the DS-160 form, and then subsequently applying for scheduling for visa appointments and attending the interview. So now there are peculiarities when I got mine. It was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks after the lockdown started.
Yeah, the COVID-19
So the COVID-19 lockdown, it was in the midst of the pandemic. So there were a lot of back and forth, a lot of uncertainties as regards, okay, what will be the next thing to do? Normally, it was expected that the hard copy of the admission packet together with the I-20 will be mailed through the conventional courier mail.
Yeah.
So, but it was no longer possible because there were restrictions of movement. The DHL or other courier service, they were not functioning normally as they would. So there were a lot of back and forth. We were expecting that the home state department, that's the IC, the department in charge of immigration, was going to put out new guidelines, regulations, and so we had to wait for some months. Eventually something came that, okay, we can actually use the e-copy to apply for
your visa, right?
For your visa. So we had to make do with the e-copy. So I'm very sure that after this whole pandemic settled, after we actually won the battle, that it will go back to normal. So, but as of the time that we had to make do with e-copy. So that's the extant rules now. Though they are now accepting e-copy and hard copies as well, because courier services are now functioning normally. So, but they still accept the e-copies as well.
So I-20, you make sure you get your I-20, then you make the SEVIS payment, right?
The number on the I-20 is there's a number.
SEVIS ID.
SEVIS ID. So it's very important to making the SEVIS payment.
SEVIS payment. So that's why one of the first things you need is the I-20.
Yeah, the I-20
and the SEVIS ID, which is
now,
the I-20.
Now, there was one thing about my school was that it seems they were very proactive. They are very proactive, and they seem to have this efficient way of doing things. Even before the forms were ready, they had already sent the SEVIS ID, so that I can start the process. Most schools don't do that. Most schools, most times you have to wait till you get the SEVIS sent, and so
I would think you can ask if
like a couple of others colleagues that actually I told them to send an email to the international to send the.
So just so you are listening, if you are on a time crunch to apply for visa and come to the United States, you can actually ask for your SEVIS ID before the courier gets your I-20 to you in your country. So when they send your service ID, you can go ahead and make the service payments, then go ahead to book your visa interview. Let me bring in Ife here, Mr. Denny. So
Okay.
was there any let me say anything peculiar to your situation when it comes to getting your I-20 and making your service payment?
Thank you, sir. Oh, when my I-20 came in, my I-20 was sent 2 weeks after I got my admission offer. Now, when I got the I-20, there is something you have to get to know. You have to check all the details very well, your names, your funding, any details on it. Are they correctly spread, or the value, are they accurate with what is on your admission letter? Then I got to know that my funding, there was an error on the funding part. I guess that was the time for the lockdown, so everybody was working from home. So let me assume maybe the error came from working from home, and so I had to contact my point of contact in the school. Then another one was issued. My I-20 for my school, we paid for the courier delivery, for the delivery. Now another funny thing, let me just add to this. So it's when I got my admission, I got email like, oh, my I-20 will be made to me. So that was my first time. Like when I heard the word made, then I started refreshing my Gmail daily to see my I-20.
So when they say mail here, they mean through the regular post office or courier services. When they mean email, they will tell you it's email.
I didn't know. That, at that time, that was when I talked with you and you told me like mail, like courier service, like, oh really? Oh, that was when I had to do the payment and it was sent. But on the funding part, like I said, there was an error on it, so I made them again. The new one was sent, but they cover the expenses for the delivery.
So let me go back a little bit to the I-20 because this is one of the most important documents that you will need, not just for the interview, but not just for the visa interview, but throughout the entirety of your um, study. So you must make sure that there are no mistakes whatsoever on the I-20. When you get your I-20, you need to look at
to
it.
look at it.
So the starting date has to, you must make sure the starting date is not before or
It's not
behind.
belated.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah, it has to be sometime well into the future. So if classes are starting in, let's say, January 11th, and you are going for your visa interview on January 28th, I mean they are likely not going to give you that visa.
of course.
So you want to check the starting dates. Sometimes if they don't, if there is a problem with the communication, you might have mistakes on your I-20. So it's very important that you look at your I-20 very well.